Alright, so if you like this type of video, you can find more of them on my secondary channel where I mostly talk about entertainment, video games, anime, TV shows, and movies. And I usually keep this channel for more political talk. But every now and then I have to advertise my other channel and I give you a sneak peek on the type of videos that you will find there. So if you like this video, please subscribe, you won't be disappointed. Now, for a long while, a lot of people have noticed a trend within the AAA gaming companies of the West, as well as in comic books. Women are being made to look more and more masculine, such as stronger jawlines, broader shoulders, short hair. Often they would have a buzz cut and their hair being painted in various unnatural colors. And they're also dressed all the way up to the neck. The smallest amount of skin showing is going to be criticized by people at the Reset era as being hypersexualized. Now, gamers have noticed this trend and they are asking the developers, why are you doing this? We're not asking for this. It looks ugly. So why are you pushing this particular art style? And the developer answered it's because the medium has matured. They want to be sensible towards virtual women, and they are doing this in order to represent the average woman. The women you are seeing in video games are what they consider to be average people, so that people do not have unrealistic expectations of how a woman looks like. But gamers know that this is false because in the exact same video games where developers say they're going for a more realistic look, if you look at the men are half naked most of the time and they definitely do not look average. In fact, they look at peak human condition. They look like Egyptian gods. They look like Greek statues. So why is it that the women are being made ugly on purpose? And I'm not saying this lightly. Because in most video games, nowadays, when you have a female character, there is usually an actual human model which the developers use in order to create the fictional character. And almost all the time, the fictional model looks great, and they have to tone down the virtual interpretation of the woman, which goes against the idea that they're trying to go for a realistic approach. They definitely uglify, for the lack of a better word, the character. And it seems that finally a developer is speaking out and is letting us know why this is being done. You see, for a long time I thought that this is due to feminist ideology. If you're unaware with it, feminists believe that we live in a rape culture, and one of the reasons that men are raping women is because of the entertainment industry, because men are looking at the Grand Prix girls, they're looking at, I suppose, video game characters, and they see them skimpily clad, they see them hypersexualized, and they think, for some reason, that when they go out in reality, it's okay to rape them. Now, do not try to explain the logic. I definitely tried getting a feminist on my channel for years in order to explain to me how this works. But none of them wanted to. The idea is that they don't want to platform a bigot. And I'm like, well, I'm platforming you. Just please, for the love of God, explain to me, why do you think that if someone sees skimpily clad fictional characters in their entertainment, they're going to go out and rape someone? And up to this day, I still do not know the answer of that question. But here's the real reason why most female characters in American video games look like this. Apparently, from a leak insider, they're saying that the characters in The Last of Us Part 2 are designed in such a way not to make trans people feel uncomfortable. Every single new character introduced in the sequel does not have definitive feminine or masculine qualities. Ellie and Dina, specifically, have been remodeled to look less feminine. So again, there is an actual female version of these characters that are actors who the developers used in order to create the fictional characters. And they have toned down the femininity of these women so that the hypothetical trans person doesn't feel uncomfortable. And it says here, Alyssa and Dina specifically have been remodeled. And it's not really about the sexual objectification of women. Women, like men, come in all shapes and sizes. To say that having big busty women is unrealistic is untrue. But this is only true for trans people. A trans woman can't naturally grow large breasts, and not all trans people can afford implants. If you see a game where the women are a little less curvy, it's not because the game designers are worried about receiving backlash for sexualizing women. It's because they are worried about offending the trans community. Now, I want to highlight that I do have a couple of transgender people that are patrons of mine and give me money. So I know for a fact that most trans people aren't like this. This is something to do with people who are ideologically possessed in California, people that are absolute batshit crazy and insane, who are saying this nonsense. Because if a video game character that is too feminine would make a trans person uncomfortable, that trans person does have to leave the house at one point. They have to interact with real women on the street, with the actual people that are like the actresses who make these characters. So no, this is not about protecting trans people, I don't think. I think it's about the trans activists having ideological control about gaming companies. And their ideology is also complete nonsense. Because if you look at certain publications that are coming right now from far left sources, their biggest battle that they're having right now is to try and convince people that trans women are actually women. And they have won this on the internet. Like if you go on Twitter, misgendering is a crime. But if you go in a rural area, or you go to a biker bar, and you try to explain to them that this is the case, I don't think you're going to have the same results as you're having with Jack Dorsey's minions. So they're really trying to push the idea that if you do not have sex with a trans woman, you are being transphobic. And I guess like the way they want to push this through, because it's very difficult to push. You know, my dick has a mind of its own. And I think like my dick is very similar to other dicks in this regard. A person will like something and can't really explain why. And at the same time, if they don't like something, they will not. Like, to me, this is not attractive. There is no way you can convince me that this is attractive. I would not want to date this lady. I can be friends with her. I don't have a problem hiring her. But I would never want to have a romantic relationship with her. I would feel violated. So the way, I guess, these ideologues want to push this upon the broader community would be, in an ideal world, every single video game, every single medium of entertainment, whether it is comic books, TV shows, or movies, would only have women that look like this. And I guess like the idea would be, since you don't have any other choice, out of necessity, you will have to find this stimulating and arousing. But the problem is that people go outside, people actually see real women. And again, like the conversation would be, what is a real woman? Well, we can, you know, like have a paper where on the left side we're going to write female characteristics, like long hair, big titties, shapely body. And on the right side we can add more masculine characteristics, like strong jawlines, broad shoulders, short hair. And then we can actually go outside, leave our house, and we can see how many women that we meet fit in the left or the right criteria. Now, I don't know how it is in California, but I'm telling you that here in Romania, the overwhelming amount of women that I will meet are going to have long hair, big titties, plump ass, because this is how reality is like. And even if you try to change, I suppose, the video games and the TV shows and the movies to fit your view, yeah, I don't think you're going to have much luck with that. What you will have luck with, however, is to completely destroy these gaming industry. Again, the ideologues, and most of these ideologues aren't even transgender, by the way. They are like parasites that leech on to companies, usually through HR, and suck all the money, finances, and talent out of the company in order to make themselves and their friends rich. And once they have destroyed the company, they will move on. So what do I mean by this? Well, it's really in the same article. Now, I have been saying this for a while now, and I try to explain the get woke, go broke phenomenon. What really happens is that you get a couple of people that are ideologically possessed into positions of power, usually through the human resources. And these people are utter bigots. They cannot stand, they cannot stomach anyone that thinks differently than they do. So what ends up happening is that anyone that doesn't toe the line gets fired. And once a person gets fired, they get replaced with the friends or the relatives of the people that have done the firing, until the entire company is filled by these ideologically possessed people. The problem is that by firing people, you lose talent. You lose actual people that have been there in the beginning. And here is a perfect example in the case of Naughty Dog, which is famous by the Uncharted trilogy. That was pretty much the work of Amy Hennig's vision. Now, Amy Hennig was laid off from the company, and people don't really know why, because her severance package made it so that she can't say. But it's kind of understood that the reason she might have left is because of The Last of Us, which showed two underage girls kissing. And this might be the creative dispute that got her to leave the company. But even if you don't believe that this might be the case, you also have the insider agreeing, and this is something that I know from other companies and people that I speak with, as well as the comic book industry, that one of the main reason for getting fired is if you do not agree ideologically with the people in charge. And there might be in the Naughty Dog community at least 3 developers which risk getting fired because they question the ideological bent that the company is making right now. And if you're into the comics industry, you know just how bad this is. Like, I remember when Comicsgate started, which was pretty much talented people leaving the comics industry in order to go their separate way, to go independent. Almost universally, every single person from DC and Marvel disavowed this. They said, no, I disavow this person, I disavow. It's funny because one of the people that was working, I believe, at Marvel at the time, was in the mountains, and he didn't have Twitter when he was in holiday. So when he comes back, he was actually attacked by an army of lunatics asking, like, why hasn't he disavowed yet? Because now it's not just about keeping your head down and making sure you go with the flow. If you want to keep your job, it's a proactive thing. You have to constantly say that you're progressive and you need to say whatever everyone else is saying. It's more like a cult than an industry at this point. They really ruined it. So my really beef with this is that a lot of people don't understand why I refuse to watch or buy products that have leftist dog whistles in them. So, for example, the new Star Wars movie, they announced it that it's going to be female-centric. And I was like, okay, so it's trash tier. Now, it's not the fact that it's female-centric that puts me off. I don't care. Like, if you are to make a TV show about Star Wars with Ahsoka, and you really have her character pinned down, I think that would be great. I would watch that. But the problem is that the moment you announce something, you don't tell me anything about the story. You don't tell me anything about who the villain is, or you don't tell me anything about the universe, like which planet is it going to take place. No, the first thing, like literally the first thing that comes out of your mouth is that it's female-centric, and you use female as if it's a title, as if that person worked their entire life in order to achieve the rank of female. Or when you show me the trailer for The Last of Us, and there's 5 minutes of it, 2 girls dancing, 2 girls being lesbians and all of that, and then you show me the actual action of the game, and then you show me the gameplay, and then that is a dog whistle. You're literally telling me that your company has already been infested by these bigots, which are now firing all the people that have created the first games, all the people that have created the first IPs. And the reason the game is going to be bad is not because it's female-centric or it has LGBT characters or any of this nonsense. No, the reason it's going to be bad is because it's going to be filled with bugs, it's going to be filled with microtransactions, it's going to be filled with gameplay that is subpar, because you fired all of the talent, you morons. That is why. It has nothing to do with any of this politics thing. And plus, actually it does have to do because it limits creativity. I mean, I watched a Korean TV show that I suggested on my other channel, which you should still subscribe, by the way, with zombies in it. It's on Netflix. It's The Kingdom. And it's made by Koreans. And it's so good. It is so good because there are so many things that wouldn't exist if the TV show was made in California. Due to political correctness. And it's incredibly diverse. Like, there is not a single white person in the entire TV show. And another example would be Train to Busan. Like I could make an entire review and explain why that is a great movie. Koreans are picking it up because they don't have to deal with this bullshit. They don't have to make their characters ugly because it might offend someone, even though there's no survey. Like I have not heard about the trans community receiving a survey where they have to say whether they're okay with female characters or like I don't even think trans people like being pampered like this. And by the way, it's very difficult for me here in Eastern Europe to explain why trans people are marginalized. Like if you are able to make to influence policy at multi-million-dollar corporations, and you're able to influence policies in Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and all of these things, how are you marginalized? You know who's marginalized? Homeless people. Imagine if a gaming company would say, yeah, we're not going to show people living in houses anymore because it makes homeless people uncomfortable. You probably would laugh at that, wouldn't you? You probably wouldn't even take them seriously. Because you cannot say that people who are marginalized get to influence culture. Let me know what you think and I'll see you guys in the comments.